In this video, we will be tasting and talking about batch 88 of the Ecocha Tea Club, a Dong Pian Oolong Tea from Taiwan. Batch 88 of the Ecocha Tea Club is a Dong Pian Oolong Tea from Lugu Township, Nantou County, Taiwan. Dong Pian is a name given to tea that has been harvested at least 2 weeks after the winter harvest season, based on the 24 period traditional calendar in Chinese culture. This was harvested the second week in December, which is quite late for Taiwanese tea production in general. Winter harvest occurs as early as the first week in October at highest elevation, and then goes all the way through early December at the lowest elevations. But most of the tea is harvested between late October and late November. This tea is at about 500 meters elevation, and we first came across this tea garden riding our motorcycles through the mountain roads, looking for a campsite actually. And as I am prone to do, I saw a farm truck on the side of the road and a farm that looked like it was naturally cultivated. So I stopped and I saw the farmer and chatted with him briefly. And he told me that he had just pruned his crop of Qingxin Oolong tea, and that was around the 10th of October because it was a national holiday weekend. And he just pruned the trees to begin the winter tea growing season on October 10th, give or take a day. So that is extraordinarily late. Most people do that process of pruning the trees in late August, early September. At low elevation, maybe late September, or probably late September, but not many people go as late as almost mid-October. So that piqued our curiosity, and we said we'd like to connect with him around harvest time, which we did. And this crop turned out to be quite special. It's not only late winter harvest, which gives it a more of a winter character, a deeper, kind of more substantial brew, less fragrant and flowery than spring tea, as you can imagine, but with more substance, basically. In addition to that, these leaves were bug bitten. They were affected by the green leafhopper, and that is obvious in the flavor profile in the sense that it has a particular honey-like note to it, and just a deep fruity kind of cured fruit character. So, yeah, this was a nice find. The farmer is almost 70 years old. He's been doing what he does for over 40 years. He's from the Dongding Mountain community, moved over to the other side of Lugu, Deer Valley, which is the hub of oolong tea making in Taiwan, and has done his thing for 40 years. He's a devout Buddhist practitioner, pays attention to his own lifestyle, nature in a bigger sense, and has put a lot of attention into his artisan practice. We're really happy to have met him. It's always a pleasure to meet one more competent tea maker here in the local community. So, without further ado, I brewed 12 grams of tea in this 175 milliliter teapot, so just under a 1 to 15 leaf to water ratio. I brewed the first, second, and third brews for 1 minute each. The first, second, third for 1 minute each. Fourth brew, 1 minute 30 seconds. And I have the fifth brew in the pitcher, which went for well over 2 minutes. The tea has cooled mostly, still warm a little bit. Let's have a flip. It's a really unique combination of fruity and vegetal. It has this mild kind of underlying green vegetal note, but there's so much sweetness and substance to the flavor that it's only one aspect of a much fuller and broader profile. Let's go for 2. I definitely should mention that this tea was made in a traditional oolong fashion, meaning that it was significantly oxidized. I think this well-experienced tea maker noticed that the leaves were affected by the leafhopper, and bug-bitten tea is very much sought after, especially in the last decade or so. It's become popular because people have realized much more commonly that bug-bitten tea offers a more substantial flavor, and each batch is unique by definition. The leaves are affected by the insects to different degrees from leaf to leaf, and then from one corner of the tea garden to another. And so every brew you have of bug-bitten tea can taste slightly different depending on which leaves you put in your pot on a given day and how much those leaves have been affected by the green leafhopper. 3rd brew. Just creamy, the substance, the constitution of the tea is really thick, really nice mouthfeel. Honey vanilla ice cream. I could just, if I went free association, I'm getting vanilla ice cream on apple pie right now. Some warming spices, I can't say that I taste cinnamon, but it's that kind of fruity warming spice, pastry, buttery. It's got a lot, this tea. Okay, 4th brew went for 1.5 minutes. Let's see how it goes here. Definitely holding its own. I think with the later brews, I'm getting more floral, actually. I'm gonna go back to 1 here. Yeah, 1, the brew has not fully opened up yet in comparison to the later ones. You get the sweet notes, but not quite as full. A nice, slightly bitter, astringent touch at the end to make a dry finish to make the flavors pop. 2 is much more substantial, smooth mouthfeel than 1st brew. 3, the same. There's something about a traditionally made oolong tea in terms of there's not any particular prominent flavor note, but the composite character of the tea just has you coming back for more. It's really kind of addictive, and it's not easy to tire of in comparison to a lighter oxidized, greener, high mountain tea oolong style. Yeah, that 4th brew is particularly flowery. The 5th brew here has gone for well over 2 minutes. The color of the tea is much darker than the previous brews. It's a really beautiful golden, bright golden, deep golden character. And that is indicative of a properly oxidized oolong, one that has been significantly oxidized, but it's not bruised to the point of turning toward red. When an oolong, that's a weak point or a shortcoming, especially in the tea competitions when they're assessing the visual aspect of the brewed tea. If it's red, and even in high mountain tea, that when it goes toward red, it's been oxidized in a way. It doesn't mean the flavor is bad, but there's a general consensus that when an oolong that has a red hue to it has been processed with a lack of finesse. There's something about keeping the freshness that doesn't turn the compounds over into a deeper or maybe even less uniform type of oxidation in the leaves. The magic of oolong is to oxidize them as uniformly as possible so that there is this kind of integrated flavor profile. These leaves are obviously thick, showing their late winter quality, short stemmed, also an aspect of winter growth. And yeah, they have this really nice kind of marbled but uniform, relatively uniform, reddish hue going through the green base. So there's not like obviously bruised spots in the leaf. It's more of a uniform oxidation with just touches of red around the edges of the leaf and also at the center stem vein. Yeah, we got a good feeling when we met this guy on the side of the road. It's our favorite thing to find that kind of thing. These old farmers that are still doing their thing. Some of them don't have a next generation to inherit their tradition. So we're capturing a living art that is unique to this area. And it's the reason we've been roaming around these hills for the last 30 years. Okay, here we go. Brew 5. Great. Definitely more substantial, less complex, which is almost always the case in my experience too. When you brew the tea strongly, it gets a denser flavor, but you lose some of the more subtle notes. Holding the sweet character it's not overly bitter at all, just that astringent, dry finish. Traditionally made late winter oolong tea, winter 2022, from the lower regions of Lugu Township, about 500 meters made. The farm is maintained and the leaves are processed by a guy that's been doing this for well over 40 years. Batch 89, Dong Pian Oolong Tea. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next month.